Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making this delicious pizza monkey bread. Some people call this pepperoni, pull apart pepperoni bread, whatever you call it. This is going to be a recipe you're going to want to hang on to, especially through the holidays, because it's great for holiday get-togethers. You know, when you got people sitting around, you need something for them to munch on. Good for game day, all them people sitting around want something to eat. If your kids are going to have sleepovers all the way from now through New Year's, and you're going to need stuff to feed all them kids that are hanging out at your house, this is a really good one, and the kids can even put it together. It's also a good one for family night, you know, family movie night or date night with you and your husband, or just whatever. So it's simple. You need a pizza crust, and you can use a canned pizza crust, which is what this is. If you want a cheaper alternative, we have a really easy pizza crust recipe, and I'll link that in the video so that you can make that. It's super, super easy. You need a little oil. I have some olive oil. Any oil will work, about 1/4 cup or so. I don't really measure it exactly. Some kind of Italian type seasoning, something with some oregano and garlic and onion and that kind of stuff in it. Whatever you got to work. And you don't even really have to have that, but I think it makes it a little bit better. You need some pepperoni, and this is just sliced pepperoni, and I quartered it so that it would be in smaller pieces. You know, when you pull it apart, it doesn't get everywhere. And a couple cups of mozzarella cheese. Now, you can also add stuff like sausage to this. Bacon would be good in it, just whatever you want. Now, I'm going to start by kind of brushing my dough and my parchment paper. And I've got some parchment paper here that I'm going to cut this up on. And you can do this a few different ways. You can cut it up and then put your oil in a big bowl with your spices and toss it. I have trouble keeping mine separated when I do that. So what I like to do is kind of oil some parchment paper up a little bit, roll my dough out, and then I'm going to brush, before I mix my spices in my oil, my pan here a little bit so that it'll come out when it's done. You can also spray your pan, but since I had out olive oil, I thought I'd just go ahead and brush it. And you could even put the spices in here, just whatever you want to do. It's not like it's super picky. I mean, it's called monkey bread. Just kind of brush that pan. Go ahead and turn your oven on about 375. And this is going to take, depending on your oven, anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes or so to bake. All right, now I'll set my pan aside, and I'm gonna dump my spices in with my oil. I'm using some spices that came in a Lev Halim, I think I'm pronouncing that right, subscription box, and that's also where I got my oil. Brett signed up for the subscription years ago, and now that I'm alone, I don't cook that much. I hardly even use all the stuff that I get in it. But that's about all the oil I ever get anymore is the stuff that comes in those boxes, because I just don't use that much. And you get all kind of good spices in them. That might be something good to send somebody for Christmas. I'll put a link to that in the description of the video too, if some of y'all want to get one of those and maybe give it to somebody for Christmas. Or maybe get it for yourself for Christmas. All right. Now, keep your brush. And just cut this pizza dough, whether it's your homemade pizza dough or you're using a store-bought one, and cut it both directions in strips. Try to get all the way through it. And it don't matter, you know, if you end up with little slivery pieces, because we're going to throw it all in the pan here. The little slivery pieces will bake up just fine too. Now once I get it all cut one way, I just take my oil brush and brush it through there, and that kind of coats those edges, and it'll keep it from sticking back together. Now your hands are going to get messy when you do this. That's just how it is. And kids kind of like making it because their hands are going to get messy. And then cut it the other way. And like I said, it don't have to be super precise. Just get it separated. And I've kind of got mine in some big pieces. I'm going to cut some of these again, because you do want it in kind of small bite-sized pieces. You're going to pull it apart and eat it like finger foods. And, you know, at a party, this would be really good. You might want to sit some tongs out to pull it apart with tongs to get it off of the loaf. But if it's, you know, just you and your husband, or maybe even you and your husband and your kids, it's not really necessary. At a big party though, some tongs to pull it apart would be good. And then kind of wipe it through there again. And like I said, the spice is not totally necessary, but I think it does add something to it. And it's all coated, so our pieces will separate when we get ready to eat it. I'm going to spread this oil out here again because I don't want just a bunch of oil in the bottom. Of course, I'm going to end up with a bunch of grease in the bottom anyway. And you start by throwing in some dough bites there. Make sure they're separated and kind of get a good layer in the bottom. This smells so good. I wish y'all could smell it. When I'm making anything pizza, I usually do put some bacon in it. I just like bacon in my pizza. You could also put some peppers and onions and stuff in it, especially if it was just an adult thing. Mushrooms, you know, anything you like in pizza you can put in here. Just put it in layers. Now, here's kind of the trick. You want a little bit of cheese, and then, because that's going to hold your bread together when you take it out, put whatever you're going to put in it. Just pepperoni, or some pepperoni and bacon, or some vegetables, or whatever you want. And you could do this completely vegetarian too if you wanted to. You can also get gluten-free pizza crusts and use those, or make a gluten-free pizza crust. And you can do keto pizza crusts and stuff like that. You know, if you've got different dietary needs, just change the crust up. Don't use regular crust. Put a fair amount in there. You can see why I cut the pepperonis up, because if I'd left them whole and then you pulled it apart, you would have had great big pieces of pepperoni sticking out. This way you won't. And then put a little bit more cheese. How thick you make the layers and how many layers you make, that's kind of just up to you. Some more dough. And we just keep doing this until it's all done. Like I said, your hands are going to be messy. Make sure you separate your bread. So you've got cheese and pepperoni coming up in between all of it. Tomorrow is Veterans Day in the United States. And it is a day to thank current and former members of our military for their service and for keeping us safe. Oh, geez. And I certainly want to personally thank each and every person who has served in any branch of the U.S. military for your service, your time, the sacrifice away from your family to protect my family. And I know I'm not the only person in this country who feels that way about you. So thank you very much for your service, and thank you for all you gave up to protect my family. I appreciate it. Take the time tomorrow or tomorrow or sometime this weekend and say thank you to the veterans that you know. Your neighbors, members of your family. I know we have a few in this family, and most families do. And tell them thank you. Tell them you appreciate what they do, because the life that we live simply would not be possible without their service and without the sacrifices that they have made. Thank you, U.S. veterans. I truly do appreciate your service. I had probably about 2 cups of cheese. I didn't measure this exactly. This time of year, though, I recommend buying them great big packs of cheese in the grocery stores or somewhere, like the ones that have 8 cups of shredded cheese in it. If you're going to be cooking for a lot of people, or you're going to have people stopping by, because you can add cheese to a lot of stuff and, you know, make a lot of different things with a little cheese. And I'm going to do another layer of cheese and pepperoni. And then I'm going to add my last few pieces on top of crust, like I did over here, to kind of finish it off. But we're going to flip this upside down, and this one should just about be cool enough to flip out by the time I get this one ready to go in the oven. So you can see the whole process. And Alex and I are going to have lunch here in a minute. All right, that's probably enough. I got some pretty big chunks of pepperoni in there. Do my cheese. You do want to do the layers of cheese like on either side of whatever filling you're using. Your pizza toppings, if you're using, you know, bacon or whatever. And I'm going to lay these on the top. And stick this in a 375-degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes, depends on your oven. Okay, let's see if we can get this to come out of the pan now. This is my old pan. I don't know if y'all watched the cake video I just did, but I am getting me some new bundt pans. Oh yeah, look at that, isn't that pretty? Nice and golden brown, the cheese is all brown. And then if you got a little bowl, you can heat some sauce. And I just use regular spaghetti sauce, I don't buy anything extra. Sit it in the middle, and isn't that pretty? And you can serve it, like I said, game day, when you got folks sitting around between Thanksgiving and Christmas waiting on dinner, or you're maybe the day before Thanksgiving and you're making pies and stuff, or early Thanksgiving day before you have dinner ready. This would be a good one, and especially around Christmas. So hang on to this one for Christmas. Before we go, because we're trying to help keep the peace here around Thanksgiving and Christmas and through this holiday season, I want to leave you with James 3:18. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. I know around the holidays the family tensions can get high. Let the little stuff go. Even let some of the big stuff go. Because in the grand scheme of things, those differences and those disagreements are not going to matter. It's about the love that the family shares and that time together. So, you know, if somebody says something that offends you, kind of brush it off and just don't worry about it. Because those things, they're going to be forgotten over time, and they really, really, really don't matter. Look for the good. Always look for the good in people. Look for the good in situations, and it'll go a whole lot smoother. Be one of the people who sows peace this holiday season. Hang on to this one. Really, it's like, oh my gosh. Look at the cheese stringing. Thank you so much for joining us at the Hillbilly Kitchen. If you have not already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. Click the notification bell so you know when we put up videos. Share all of our videos with your friends. And until next time, remember to put God first.